Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we're about to get started with this episode of the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show. But first, please rise if you can, or if not, at least put your hand over your heart for the playing of the national anthem. Thank you so very much. Now please stay as you are, if you would, for the playing of the Pledge of Allegiance led by John Wayne.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this party started.
I'm lost and into the dark. Some things are better left unknown. And I'll never find you here, 'cause no one's ever
Let's go, Brandon.
Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her?
FJB.
What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays.
Let go, Brandon.
What a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner, is it in her?
Let's go, Brandon.
Is this real? Just illusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in the wonderland of confusion. Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion? Is this real or just illusion? I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion. I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
say let's go, Brandon?
Coming to you from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness, this is the Darkwolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and we are broadcasting live from a secret cave hidden deep within the wilderness of Tennessee. That's right, we're ripping through the electromagnetic soup, we're tearing through the atmosphere, and we're tunneling away into your radio like a quantum particle. This is the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Wednesday, January the 19th, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are diving deep down the rabbit hole tonight of the great mysterious state of New Hampshire. We've got a lot of interesting paranormal to cover and even abnormal stories that we don't normally have in most shows. We'll get to all that here in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and see who has joined our live broadcast over here on YouTube, both on the Rippin' Rabbit Hole YouTube channel as well as the Darkwolf's Den Show YouTube channel. How are you guys doing over here tonight? Like Maggie's Aces over here, I see you up there, says, ow, Dark Wolf. Well, ow, Maggie, glad to see you guys here tonight. Errol Taylor checking in, says, hi. Hi, Errol, glad to see you. Sandy B says, hey, everybody. Hey, Sandy. Prairie Fire checking in, glad to have you here, Prairie Fire. Been hanging out backstage with us, Prairie Fire. Has been fun hanging out and conversing back there. Really great meeting new rabbits. Raider Champion in the house says, welcome everyone. It's almost time for some Hampshire cryptids. That's right, New Hampshire. Hey, Jerry, says Sandy. Who else we got in here? Lobo, Ohio checking in. Glad to see you, Lobo. That's right. A lot of great chat going on. Terry said she made it. Glad you made it, Terry. How's the weather going over there with you guys? It is snowing outside of the den tonight. Actually, quite a bit more than I thought it would be. It started out with rain, turned into a little sleet, and now we are just at that point where it can snow, and hopefully it doesn't build up too much. Then again, I'm off tomorrow, so you know, it's not something I'd complain about, right? Earth Daughter checking in, saying hi to everybody. Hi, Earth Daughter. Always a pleasure to see you. Over in the Darkwolf's Den Show chat room, JoJo's checking in with the wave. Hey, JoJo, says good evening, all. Good evening. Hi, everyone, says Oiler Greg. Hi, Oiler Greg. We got a troll zapper going on over here. Troll zappers are getting more and more needed around this particular weird network we use here, isn't it? Quite strange indeed. Glad to have all of you guys along for the ride here. It's been quite a short week, luckily. We only had 2 days to go without the radio. Sometimes I can feel so long, though, can it? Yeah, let's go, Brandon. FJB says, JoJo, I've seen some FJBs rolling up also in the Rippin' Rabbit Hole chat, too. And whether you are listening on the YouTube channels or listening worldwide on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network at the rippinrabbithole.com, or even at our flagship station in Rippin', Wisconsin, we're glad to have every last one of you guys along for the ride. And quick shout out to everybody listening over on BitChute and Rumble. I've seen those numbers start to grow lately. I appreciate it, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button over there also. So we are on a multitude of platforms, but if we ever go down, folks, you can always find us at our home platform on the rippinrabbithole.com, RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. Over there, you're going to find anytime we go down, we will still be broadcasting if we are able to, ladies and gentlemen. But we do need to broadcast our way into the mysteries that are held within the state of New Hampshire. But before we do, we have two more fun little segments we have to do. The first of which we call Today in History. Fun fact about today's fun fact. It's very rare in this state series that I have been able to find a fact of the day about the state we happen to be discussing. However, today is one of those rarities. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. On this day in 1810 was called Cold Friday. The temperature at Portsmouth, New Hampshire drops from 54 degrees Fahrenheit to minus 12 Fahrenheit in one day, with many frozen to death in one 24-hour period, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that. It's from summer weather all the way down to negative 12. Cold Friday, that did occur, unfortunately for these folks in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on this day in 1810. And that is today's segment of Today in History.
Say what?
Our quote of the day today, ladies and gentlemen, comes from the great bard himself, William Shakespeare. He says, and I quote, "A fool thinks himself to be wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool," end quote. That's right. Very interesting words to ponder and live by. Kind of seems to me nowadays that a lot of fools are trying to appear wise, if you know what I mean. Let's go, Brandon. That is today's segment of
Say what?
And I for sure know that I am a fool. I chance making a fool of myself twice a week for an hour a week, every week, ladies and gentlemen. So make no question, I am wise enough to know that I am a fool. And one of those foolish things that I do discuss every week, of course, is the paranormal. And you guys, of course, are here tonight to hear about the paranormal state of mystery of New Hampshire. New Hampshire actually has a lot of mysteries, and I said at the beginning that we were going to do something abnormal even with the show. Well, as you guys know, the cryptids is usually what we start out with in every state. However, New Hampshire has a special mystery that I'd like to touch on really quick. Most of you guys have heard of Stonehenge, I'm sure, but have you heard of the American Stonehenge that just happens to be in New Hampshire? Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat room, everybody in both chat rooms over there, if you have previously heard of the American Stonehenge. I'd like to know. But for those that haven't, this is a mystery that is something we don't come across every day, even on this show. Check this out.
Nestled deep in the woods near Salem, New Hampshire, resting atop a mountain known by locals as Mystery Hill, exists a peculiar site like no other. A site full of strange rock formations, mysterious man-made stone structures, and a labyrinth of hand-built caves. There are countless different theories about who is behind this strange site. Was it built by ancient peoples? Is it the home of a long-lost civilization? Could it have even been left behind by aliens?
Or perhaps it was all three, right? Left behind by a long-lost civilization of aliens on the Earth, right? I mean, in 2022, that's still not the most strange thing I'm sure most of you guys have heard, right?
No one seems to know exactly how it came to be, but one thing is for sure. There are many more questions than there are answers about the mystery behind the American Stonehenge.
And let's see how many of you guys out there had heard of the America's Stonehenge. And it looks like we got JoJo's coming in with the one. Who else we got over here? Mystery Hill, says JoJo. Yes, she has heard of Mystery Hill. Prairie Fire with the one has heard of it. Sandy B says, I definitely have heard of the American Stonehenge. I actually used to know a guy, fun fact. Never heard of it, says Euler Greg. Count the Georgia Guidestones as one. But seriously, I actually knew a guy that actually lived quite close to the American Stonehenge, and he used to send me pictures in person of these amazing stones that are there. The delicacy of the laying of some of these stones. It's an amazing sight. I mean, to hear about it's one thing, but the pictures, to hear about it just doesn't do it justice when it comes to the pictures. One, says Arrow Taylor, also has heard of the American Stonehenge.
The American Stonehenge is truly a remarkable site, spread out over 12 acres atop a rocky granite hill in New England. The site is home to some of the most interesting and mystifying structures that can be found anywhere in the U.S. The hilltop is covered by a maze of low stone walls made of deliberately stacked flat stones. In some places, massive granite slabs have been laboriously laid on top of the stone walls, creating a sheltered cave-like chamber with mystical names like Sun Deck and the V-Hut. Then there's the bewildering structure known ominously as the Oracle Chamber, a snug underground room carved into the stone, complete with a rough stone bed and even what appears to be a crude stone tube leading outside. And of course, we can't forget about the sacrificial table, an enormous 4-ton granite slab that covers the Oracle Chamber and that may have been used in ancient spiritual rituals. There's also the scenic astronomy trail, which takes visitors on a winding tour through the site's staggeringly accurate astronomical calendar made of stone monoliths.
And here, yet again, we have an astronomical calendar, something we find in stone sites across the entire world. Not just in America, but the fact that there is one in America shows a civilization that at some point was seafaring and well-traveled. Perhaps the same lost civilization that's responsible for pyramids on all the continents, right, ladies and gentlemen? But a very interesting mystery coming out of New Hampshire, one that is quite abnormal. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the cryptids. The first cryptid I'm going to go ahead and cover myself. They're called devil monkeys, and this is something we're going to run into a little bit more, I think, as we get through the last half of our state's list, right? It's called devil monkeys. It says something hairy lurks in the New Hampshire area of the Appalachian Mountains. Monkeys reported anywhere from 3 feet to 8 feet long have been seen in the mountains and are more recently in towns. These primates with dog-like muzzles have long black hair streaked with white pointed ears and a nasty temper. Devil monkeys have been known to kill pets and livestock. Sightings of devil monkeys go back to the 1950s when a baboon-like monster attacked a couple's car. The most recent report came from a 2001 report in the small town of Danville, New Hampshire, population of just more than 4,000 people. A group of 12 people encountered an enormous hooting monkey inside the city limits. Quote, It wasn't a sound I had heard before, end quote, a witness said. Then again, I don't think a lot of us have heard more than maybe 2 or 3 monkey sounds. There's no telling how many sounds those creatures actually make, right? Well, what is the New Hampshire devil monkey? An escaped pet and a North American primate, a spirit. Until one is captured, I guess we'll may never know. And once again, devil monkeys, they aren't exactly saying that they are cryptid by nature, but they are a monkey species that apparently is unaccounted for in the Americas, more specifically the Appalachian Mountains in this case. Not a lot of strangeness particularly, but as we know, there could be many types of primates out there in the wilderness that we just don't know about. There's a lot of stuff in the wilderness, as a matter of fact, that we just don't know about, like our next cryptid on the list called the Wood Devil. Check this out.
The New Hampshire Wood Devils. Catchy name, no? Anytime you hear the word devil involved, it's always something that's going to catch people's attention. But yes, it has to do with a folklore type cryptid. I say that because this is a cryptid that has been around apparently for a long time, since the early days of the American West frontier. So all those eras of the frontiersmen moving west, claiming new land, maybe some mountain folks. This is apparently a cryptid that they ran into and maybe even continue to do so this day. I didn't really see too many modern tales. There were a few, and I'll cite them here in a minute, but nothing proliferant like some of the other cryptids. So what is the New Hampshire Wood Devil? For starters, it's been described as being about 7 foot tall or so. It either has a dark type fur or a dark brown type fur, so it's either black or maybe it's brown of some sort. It either can be very furry or the fur itself can be very trim.
That would of course either imply a civil type of intelligence in a creature by being able to trim down and keep trimmed down its own fur, or it would imply two different species or versions of this creature, perhaps male and female, whatever the case may be.
But by far its most distinct feature is that it is absolutely thin, rail thin, like actually much thinner than, let's say, your average human would be.
And we normally do not encounter Bigfoot type creatures, although this one only being 7 foot tall, so it's not a super giant creature, but still quite a big character. Being a thin creature, we just don't find that amongst Bigfoot cases, although this is a hairy or furry type creature that is tall. That's still kind of odd. That kind of weight differential, perhaps again another type of Bigfoot, or who knows what, perhaps another species of cryptid altogether.
I mentioned that because it has been described as being humanoid. It has the body of a human, the face of a human, about almost the same height, but again a little bit taller at 7 foot tall.
Now, that is strange indeed, that they would have human features but be so thin and abnormal. One would almost say alien, right? And perhaps that would explain it. Or perhaps, as I was discussing with somebody just the other day, it is a experiment gone wrong, right? Perhaps a lab-created creature, human hybrid of some type that has either been escaped or let go, because it's interesting that it's only found, as I know of, in New Hampshire.
But it is abnormally thin, very much so like with the hide behind.
I'm sorry, Fernando. By the way, this is Fernando from the William DeFalco YouTube channel. If you're interested in interesting cryptid stories, check them out. I definitely do recommend them. But Fernando, you mentioned what, hide behinds? I've never heard of that.
Except the key difference is the hide behind was able to, I guess, suck itself in, like its stomach especially, to be very, very thin. Normally it wasn't. This creature, though, is normally thin, very much thin, much thinner, in fact, than the trees that it hides behind itself. And that's its main form of camouflage.
So the hide behinds make themselves small enough to hide behind things. Maybe these are the creatures that you see out of your peripheral vision running across when you think nothing is there. I'm not opposed to that idea at all. But what else is interesting about these? You say as they use the trees as camouflage. How do they do that?
And that's why I was mentioning earlier, it's so hard. There's hardly any pictures, if anything, as far as drawings associated with it. It's because its main action is to hide around trees, especially when it feels like it comes across someone, a human, another person, and that person is trying to see it.
Okay, are there any actual case files of this creature being seen?
There was one that came from a resident there in New Hampshire. By the way, that seems to be the only place that this location, that this thing seems to be in. I didn't see it anywhere else, like other places, either west or south or anything along those lines.
Well, after already having gone through 32 other states so far, this being the 33rd state in our countdown, I thought you guys might find that really interesting. I know I did. But seriously, going through all the states we've been through so far, this is definitely the first time I can recall having heard of the wood devil.
But this had to do with an experience that occurred in 1991. There was this gentleman who was taking photographs of the outdoors. Apparently he does so each season. That's either his hobby or maybe his main profession. And he was there along a place called the Pontook Reservoir and then another place called the Androscoggin River. Don't know exactly where those are, but he was there near the woods around that area. He stated that as he walked about 1,000 feet ahead of, outside from where he parked, that's when he was in an area where he had a bunch of trees around him. It is considered very dense. He said that the light was low, but he could still kind of see where things were going. But then he heard something behind him, like a crackling sound, the kind of sound that usually is done whenever someone is, let's say, moving.
So perhaps it could have been a deer or a squirrel, or, as you walk through the woods, all kind of animals and creatures are running around in front and behind you and trying to scurry from your position. So at this point, logically speaking, it could be anything. Hey, Pax Disturbia, glad to have you along for the ride.
In that same foresty area around him, he turned around, but he didn't see what it was. He said he started to walk around, but especially towards where that sound came from, but he couldn't see something. And then that's when in the corner of his eye, he saw something that he described being tall and thin darts, those are his exact words, peer out from behind a sugar maple tree, and then it quickly disappeared. So whatever this thing was, it saw him, and it saw him looking back at it, and then that's when it absolutely quickly just disappeared. And so
I do apologize for the echo. I think we got that fixed now. Thank you guys for letting me know about that.
And so it looks like curiosity took over him. He decided to go around that large tree just to try to see if he could get another good look. But no matter how much he tried, this thing would move so fast. It would just move around the tree or it would move to another tree that visually was linked to it, like let's say in the background. Maybe it knows the perspective, like so if someone is walking up towards it and it can sense the trees behind it, it'll know which tree to disappear behind to make it seem like it was never seen while it moved to the other tree, if that makes sense. If you do it in certain angles, then you can make sure you can hide behind things that are obscuring whatever the other person's view is as they're coming up to them.
Now, I know I've definitely not heard of a hide and seek style cryptid. I don't know. Bigfoot and Nessie play hide and seek quite a bit, as in my opinion they're at least the top of the list for the winners of the hide and seek championship. But the state of New Hampshire also has its own lake monster. Check this story out, folks. Dublin Lake, sometimes called Lake Pond, is a 240-acre, 64-foot deep body of water in southwestern New Hampshire, and it has a less than savory reputation. According to the book America's Loch Ness Monster by Philip Rife, Dublin Lake has a resident creepy crawly that lurks in its underwater caverns. In the 1980s, a scuba diver apparently ventured deep into Dublin Lake and disappeared. He was found naked days later, unconscious amongst the trees along the shore. When revived, he mumbled about eel-like monsters he'd encountered under the cold waters of the lake. A similar story about Dublin Lake involved a diver encountering a dry pocket of an underground cavern and witnessing the same type of cryptid. Although the tale of the Dublin Lake Monster has taken on a fanciful status, to try to keep kids from the water, the ones that have seen it still truly believe. And last but not least, on cryptids of New Hampshire, can't believe we actually got them all in, folks. We have the Pukwudgie, as we've seen in a number of New England territories and states. We've had these little troll-like creatures, child-sized trolls with big ears and noses. They could use magic and disappear or morph into walking porcupines and create fire by thought. Definitely not a creature that you want to make mad. The Pukwudgies apparently have a very strong civilization all through the Northeast. And if they don't now, they definitely did at one time. So if you're in New Hampshire and you happen across a small human-like walking porcupine that looks like it's in a bad mood or looks like a troll, you may very well be looking at a Pukwudgie. May I suggest that you steer clear. They're also known to steal children and play very dirty tricks. So definitely, once again, an interesting mix of cryptids in the state of New Hampshire, a mix that is very unique indeed. And that music, of course, folks, as you guys know, means we have to go ahead and take a network break here. So my name's Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you're listening to the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. We'll be right back with the second half and the ghosts of New Hampshire after these messages. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. That's right.
We gotta stoke the fires and run off the men in black. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Oh yeah, that howl means your weekend has begun. Hi everyone, it's AJ the Rippin' Rabbit. Are you enjoying tonight's Darkwolf's Den Radio Show State of Mystery for New Hampshire? I know I am. If you are and you haven't done so already, please make sure to thumb up that video, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell. You'll get our notifications every time we go live. We're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, bringing you the very best of common sense radio, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Jerry Hicks and the Darkwolf's Den Show will return again tomorrow night for the annotated Brothers Grimm. It's going to be an interesting evening tomorrow night, Thursday, January 20th. Join him as everything kicks off at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, as all shows do. Then Friday night, January 21st, I'll return with a look at getting creative. Let's get creative on a Friday night. A journey deep down through the rabbit hole and explore how to get creative, and some people who already have. Then Saturday night, come along with me as we explore the rabbit hole of experiments. Saturday, January 22nd. I suppose there'll probably be a few on-air experiments. You'll have to tune in and find out again Saturday night, January 22nd. Then we'll end out the weekend right together with you. Sunday, January 23rd. We're going to take a fascinating time travel back to 1854. We're going to look at the time period of the 1850s. More important, what happened in 1854. A fascinating look at some of the men of history and women of history of the 1854 movement that birthed the Republican Party in Ripon, Wisconsin, as we are getting closer to our Freedom Flame event happening March 20th, 2022. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat, if you're an independent. We come together on March 20th, regardless of your political affiliation, to celebrate one thing and one thing only, and that is freedom. Each and every one of us can agree that we should be united on our freedom. Speaking of which, I'm going to give you some more details throughout the weekend as some really exciting things are going to be taking place for our 5th annual Freedom Flame broadcast this year. Stay tuned. We'll return back to tonight's State of Mystery, New Hampshire for Wednesday, January 19th with Jerry Hicks and the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show. You're listening to the Ripon Common Sense Radio Network, the Ripon Rabbit Hole.
If you were meant to be controlled, you would have come with a remote, but you didn't. And that's why you listen to the DarkWolf's Den Show. Now, here is your host, Jerry Hicks.
That's right, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and welcome back to the second half of the DarkWolf's Den Radio Show for Wednesday, January the 19th, 2022. Haha. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad you chose us to be right there with you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning in, you have missed an incredible first half where we've covered everything from America's Stonehenge to the Pukwudgie and even the Wood Devils. Make sure you go back and check out that if you missed it. But going forward, as you guys know, every week we cover the ghost stories of the state, and New Hampshire definitely has its fair share, as remember, it is one of the older states of the Union, right? But before we do get into that, I would like to mention we did a 3-hour episode earlier today, myself and the IMEC team, with a gentleman named Roger Marsh, author of the book Truth Bubbles. That was an incredible show. If you guys get a chance, that's over at the International Mandela Effect Conference YouTube channel now. Once again, it is quite long, so you can break it up into sections or listen to the whole thing, but it's so much information in there. It's definitely something that I enjoyed. I just wanted to let you guys know that that existed over there and that we'd been doing that today. Deranged Lunatic over in the DarkWolf's Den Show. Glad to see you, my friend Deborah O'Connor. Always a pleasure to have you along for the ride.
Kimball Castle. Kimball Castle in Guilford was built in 1894 as a summer estate for businessman Benjamin Ames Kimball and took a whopping 2 years to finish. It stayed in the Kimball family until 1960, when it was abandoned and later gutted by vandals. The grounds now stand as a nature preserve, and many reports of the supernatural have sprouted up throughout the years. Visitors to the area report apparitions seen in the old ruined home, lights coming from empty rooms inside the old structure, and disembodied footsteps around the home at night.
So this sounds like an active ghost for sure. Definitely not a stone tape, as lights like that don't tend to be stone tape. However, they are drawing energy from somewhere in large amounts to be able to manifest as such. Very intriguing case so far.
On several occasions, visitors at night have reported hearing what sounds like voices whispering coming from the dark. This has happened numerous times and even sent a few running from the old grounds.
Clearly, the spirit of the owner was not happy about the building being vandalized and is now attempting to run off anybody around there. That is definitely not a positive spirit, but understandably so, right?
The Eagle Mountain House. The Eagle Mountain House Hotel in Jackson was originally established in 1849, burned to the ground in 1915, and was rebuilt into the current building in 1916. This old hotel has become quite famous amongst paranormal researchers everywhere due to the famous apparition of a lady in a red dress, commonly seen throughout the halls, lobby, and strolling the grounds.
Originally, I was thinking stone tape theory. However, they don't normally show in multiple locations. That's usually a one location thing, like a stairwell or a certain pacing spot over and over and over. It's not something that normally switches locations, but that's not the only trick that the lady in red does.
She's believed to be responsible for objects moving on their own, lights turning on and off by themselves, and the sound of disembodied footsteps.
A very strong, active activity, it sounds like, as she said in the beginning, most paranormal researchers are quite well versed in this. However, it's not fair to give her credit for all of the haunting activity here, you see.
Also reported here is the ghost of a little boy seen wandering the halls. Many who have encountered him report also hearing a strange whispering sound and getting the feeling that someone is standing right behind them.
And that almost sounds like the two spirits are working together, perhaps one being a more motherly, nurturing spirit to the child. I can only assume, but definitely a very strange case file for sure. But speaking of strange, another strange thing that we seen last week was the state of Nevada, surprisingly enough, did not have a haunted college or university in the list, and I am proud to announce the return in New Hampshire of the haunted university to our haunted state list series here. Actually, we have a couple of them tonight, starting with
Huntress Hall. Huntress Hall on the campus of Keene State College was built in 1926 and named after Harriet Huntress, who supported Keene Normal School while employed with the State Office of Education. The hall is one of the oldest dorms on campus, originally built to house 157 female students. It's said that Harriet was strongly against male and female students mingling, and when the dorm became co-ed, staff and students began seeing her form and hearing her voice throughout the building.
Now, this is intriguing because this actually suggests a trigger for ghosts to be able to manifest into this world. Check this out. So if we assume that our souls are our consciousness, one and the same, using two different words to describe the same thing, as the ghost seemed to, of course, carry consciousness over with them of the personality of the person that they were, right? That seems to be the case everywhere I've seen. So for them to be able to manifest in our reality, if the soul and consciousness is only after experience, as we're told quite a bit, then perhaps emotion isn't just within the body, but across the consciousness spectrum. As to say, once the ghost hits that high level of emotion from the other side, they have enough emotional energy to supercharge the ability to be shown in this reality or manifest something in this reality. As the one thing she seemed to be adamantly against having the co-ed dorms, that is, of course, something that would have enraged her in life. Once it did happen, she became enraged just the same, holding the same personality, yet now in spirit form, and has the ability to manifest into reality and do a number of things.
She is also believed to be responsible for what sounds like a wheelchair rolling in the attic, lights flickering for no reason, and faucets turning on and off.
Under the assumptive theory that we just made here, that of course would make sense that it would be a highly active spirit, as she is exuding a lot of excess anger according to this theory. But that is not the scary part of this haunting. Actually, this is the scary part.
She has been known to pop up in mirrors and reflections, especially to couples who are alone. So if you're trying to spend some quality time with your sweetheart, you may want to plan a night out.
I don't know about you guys, but I think it's uber creepy if I look in a mirror and see a spirit standing there with me or staring back at me. Nonetheless, I think that just might even creep me out, and I'm somebody that gets excited at the paranormal, right? That might be one of those lines, those red lines. I don't know, it hasn't happened yet. I pray that I don't encounter that. Speaking of encounter, we have, like I mentioned a moment ago, 2 college encounters in New Hampshire.
The University of New Hampshire. The University of New Hampshire in Durham was founded in 1866 with the current campus opening in 1893. It's said to be home to several hauntings by students and faculty who report shadowy figures that stalk students across campus, elevators acting as if they have a mind of their own, and disembodied footsteps at night.
Okay, I can dismiss the elevators acting on their own. I've seen some really wonky elevators, right? I don't know about you guys, but I've seen some that just kind of do what they want anyway. So I'll put that up to technical glitch, but just the same, even if I did include it, either way, it comes down to the one question that I think I'm going to really be asking a lot in 2022. How many grains of sand do you need to build a beach? How many pieces of evidence do you need before it all ties together, makes sense, right? So either way, definitely strange hauntings here on this campus.
Smith Hall, built in 1908, was the first residence hall for female students, and many report seeing the ghostly figure of a woman wandering the halls. She's been known to disappear around corners, and several have woken up in the middle of the night to find her standing at the foot of their bed, staring silently at them.
You know, a couple moments ago I said that was probably one of my red lines with the mirrors. Well, waking up to the sight of a ghost standing at the end of my bed staring at me, a human is disturbing enough, but a ghost nonetheless, that would definitely be right up there on top of the creep-tastic list for this old wolf too, I gotta say. But what about you guys? Would you freak out if you woke up to a ghost at the end of your bed? Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat room if that would freak you out. Put a 2 in the chat room if you think, no, I'd be cool as a fan, man. Or put a 3 in the chat room if you're not quite sure how you'd react. Either way.
Also reported here are strange scratching noises, personal belongings turning up in random places, and the ever-present feeling of being watched.
And I mean, in 2022, that's not exactly a strange feeling. I don't know about you guys, but everywhere I go, I feel like I'm being watched either by big tech or the state or my bosses or whatever the case may be. I feel like I'm being watched 24/7. So I don't know how paranormal that feeling really is anymore. But once again, 2 interesting state college stories in a row for the state of New Hampshire, and I think we have time for just one more case file, folks.
Plymouth State University.
And for those playing along at home, I believe that makes 3 universities for the state of New Hampshire. Looks like I can't count either, right?
Plymouth.
And in the chat over here, we've got pretty consistent across the board. We got ones from Prairie Fire. Definitely would freak out with something at the foot of their bed when they woke up. A ghost, nonetheless. I'm with you, Prairie Fire. 100%. That's what I'm talking about. Sandy B with the 1. Absolutely. She says it has. Now that's even more scary to me. Rippin' Rabbit with the 1. Would definitely be doing some freaking out and hopping around if a ghost was standing in his bed when he woke up. Terry Taggart with the 3. Not so sure. Earth Daughter with the 2. I'd just turn on the light and tell it no. Well, hopefully it would respect the no, right? At least maybe it'll become invisible if you turn the light on. Or maybe not. Raider Champion with the 2.2. No, he says, I'd be smooth and cool. I'd like to think that one of us would, because I would not. 1 says JoJo would definitely be freaking out over here in the Darkwolf's Den Show chat. El Euler Greg with the 3. Not quite sure how he would handle it. Pax Disturbia following in with the 3. Not sure how they would handle that either. Deborah O'Connor with the 1. Let me tell you, JoJo's. She says, Sassy sleeps with me. I can tell you. Tuna, my cat, by the way, I know you guys heard me talk about Tuna at the end of the last show. She sent us on a heck of a time traveling adventure. Luckily, we made it back just in time to do the show. But she is laying right now, literally right beside me on the desk, asleep. She definitely does not leave my side very often either. Deborah O'Connor coming in also with the 1. Would be very freaked out.
Plymouth State University in Plymouth was founded in 1871, and many of the original buildings were connected by underground tunnels to keep students out of harsh weather. As local legend goes, one fateful night, a boy from Blair Hall and a girl from Mary Lyon Hall made arrangements to sneak out and meet each other in the tunnels. Some say the tunnel collapsed, others say they got locked in, and some even claim it was murder.
In any scenario, either way, you have high emotion, high trauma, high chance of haunting, and haunting is exactly what we got.
The girl's ghost can be seen in the basement of Mary Lyon Hall and is said to be angry over being separated from her love. She has been known to shriek from dark corners, cause electronics to go dead, and cause extreme cold spots.
What I find here is the anger of the spirit is what is most likely being used to push this ability. So clearly the consciousness has emotion still yet after we move on. As one would have a personality, one would have to have the emotions that drive that personality, right? Interesting, we see also these electronic equipment being drained, something we've seen a whole lot in the last couple weeks, and something that, quite frankly, I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of in this entire state series.
The boy's spirit can be seen in Blair Hall. He is said to appear sad and depressed, and those who come across him report suddenly feeling the same.
This is, again, something we don't see very often. A spirit able to share their emotions with others around them. Definitely an odd aspect to this case file that is quite unique.
Lastly, in Samuel Reed Hall, a dark presence has been known to make students feel uneasy and afraid, especially when they're alone.
So this sounds like some place that has some scary ghosts. Definitely some negative charged entities, right?
Cochico Mills.
Well, it looks like I was wrong on my timing, and we actually have time for one more. Check this out, guys.
The historic Cochico Mills in Dover was originally constructed in 1822 and sits right along the Cochico River. In 1907, a fire broke out on the 4th floor, trapping employees on the upper floors. Fire escapes became overcrowded quickly, and several were injured or even killed jumping from upper floors. A total of 6 lives were lost, and it's said their spirits remain here to this day. Now an apartment complex, many residents and staff members have reported light switches flicking from off to on, locked doors opening on their own, and furniture found in different locations overnight.
So these seem like quite active and playful ghosts, but just the same making their presence known.
On several occasions, residents have called the police suspecting a break-in, with officers arriving to find all doors and windows all securely locked.
And as you guys know, I love stories like this that get some type of involvement from the police especially, because that just documents the incidents even further.
Many have reported being awoken by ghostly voices on the wind at night, the sounds of long dismantled machinery, and dark shadowy apparitions wandering the halls, forever searching for an escape from the once burning building.
And that is definitely a fate I hope I never end up having to take in, but perhaps this is more of a stone tape repetition of an action over and over and over. In the end, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the paranormal state of New Hampshire, is it really a paranormal state, or are we barking up the wrong tree? In the end, all you can do is look at the evidence, apply a little common sense, and
you be the judge.
That's right, boys. We got to close it out. That's right, that's it for this episode of the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show for Wednesday, January the 19th, 2022. So whether you're on the edge of a reality, the edge of the galaxy, or the edge of your seat, we're glad that you chose us to be right there with you. That's right, all of you guys across all the platforms where you can find us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to have all you guys along, and don't you worry, even though the den may be closing for tonight, folks, the weekend fun has only just begun. That's right, we will be back tomorrow, Thursday, January the 20th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, with an all-new episode of the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show, of course. Tomorrow we are going to be discussing, AJ kinda had it right, it is based on the annotated Grimm's fairy tales. It is Dark Fairy Tales Part 2. This is the dark origins of the fairy tales that we love so much. We did an episode on it over a year ago, and now we're going to go back and visit this once again and see if we can't find some news stories as well as rehashing some old ones. That's right, that is tomorrow, Dark Fairy Tales Part 2 on the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show. That'll be Thursday, January 20th, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. And the weekend don't stop there. Once we get the weekend fun kicked off right, we kick it on over to our buddy AJ the Rippin' Rabbit for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he's got some very creative topics this week, I've got to say. Very enjoyable lineup coming up, like on Friday, January 21st, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. All shows here on the network start at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, of course. AJ is going to be talking about being creative. There's so much we can do to unlock those creative juices within all of us, and so many little tips and tricks to learn, and AJ will be teaching us, I'm sure, a couple of those on Friday, January 21st, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central. That's right, folks. Then on Saturday, January the 22nd, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, AJ comes back for another episode on one of his favorite things. If you guys haven't been to the Rippin' Rabbit Hole live show, if you don't know, one of his favorite things to do is the on-air experiments. And something tells me he has a night packed with them on Saturday, January 22nd, as that is going to be, his topic is experiments, from the wild and wondrous to the weird, I'm sure, and everything in between. AJ will be talking about those interesting experiments on Saturday, January 22nd, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific. Then on Sunday, January 23rd, 2022, 7 p.m. Pacific, he comes back to round the weekend out right with you guys as he discusses the 1850s, or as he said earlier, more specifically, 1854, and the events that led to something that is still very prevalent today, which is, of course, the Republican Party. And this is all leading up to the amazing Freedom Flame celebration that we have coming up on March 20th every year. This will be our 5th anniversary of celebrating the Freedom Flame. And let me tell you guys, I've been in some of the planning for this stuff, and this is going to be amazing. The way I understand, AJ earlier said he would be dropping information throughout the weekend, so make sure you're paying attention all weekend long. Come back for all these shows as he starts to release a little bit of the fun that we have coming up all the way up to March 20th, and especially the incredible fun we have planned for then. And this is only getting started. So much I want to tell you guys, but AJ will be discussing it with you guys as the weekend goes through. And if you would like to stay up to date with any information on the Freedom Flame, definitely check out rippinrabbithole.com. That is RIPONRABBITHOLE.com. Over there, you're going to find at the bottom of every page the Freedom Flame itself burning brightly. Click on that and it will take you to a page with the story of the Freedom Flame, and I'm sure AJ will be touching highly on that on Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10/9 Central, January 23rd. And that's going to do it for us here at the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So on behalf of AJ the Rippin' Rabbit, Chick Mandela Effect, Michael Musko, Walt House, everybody involved in Rippin' Common Sense Radio, as well as Red Shed Studios for this amazing music. Folks, on behalf of all these people, my name is Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and you've been listening to the Darkwolf's Den Radio Show exclusively on Rippin' Common Sense Radio Network, the Rippin' Rabbit Hole. Until tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, remember, stay awake, but dare to dream. That's right. Good night, everybody. You guys know what time it is. That's right. Let me see it over there in the chat. Throw it up.
And into the dark.
What are those 3 beautiful magic words?
Better left unknown.
That's right.
And I'll never find you here.
I see you over there.
'Cause no one's ever.
JoJo's got the idea. Let's go, Brandon FJB. That's right, folks. Follow it up. Let's blow the chat up. Let's go.
Oh, what a widow, a peaceful spider. When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider. Hide the lies and the alibis. Oh, what a sinner. Is it in her?
I see FJB down the line. That's right. Stand for free, FJB. Let's go, Brandon. Because the commies, they just can't see.
What's the truth in this riddle? Is love really just this simple? I can't seem to find my way in this world that never stays.
Shout out Lobo, Ohio, Maggie's Ace, JoJo, Sandy B, Prairie Fire, Errol, Pax Disturbia hanging in the house with us. That's right, JoJo's, FYT, FJB. Let's go, Brandon.
When the glass is clean, she's a sneaky hider.
What?
Hide the lies and the alibis. What a sinner. Is it in her?
Let's go, Brandon. We had such a good country a year ago. We've made it this far and we're just getting started. 2022 is important. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon lives in a wonderland of delusion. FYT. Brandon lives in a wonderland of delusion.
Is this real or just illusion? Manifestation or a dark delusion?
Dark delusion, yes.
Is this real?
Let's go, Brandon.
Or just illusion?
God, I hope it's an illusion.
I'm lost in a wonderland of confusion.
That's where Biden lives. I'm sorry, Brandon. That's where Brandon lives. Wonderland of confusion. What gives? Let's go, Brandon. FJB, FYT. Can't you see? I see you over there, Deborah. Let's go, Brandon, with the heart. That's right. Let's go, Brandon. Patriots tonight. Got a room full of them, ×2. I don't know what I'd do without you. Let's go, Brandon. FYT. FJB. See. Let's go, Brandon. And I wish I could say the rest. You guys know. W. Hicks, Cold Mood Madness, available now on Amazon. $12 for paperback, $7 for Kindle. Not adding this to your bookshelf would be madness. That's right. DL Lunatic. Let's go, Brandon. Folks, I hope to see you all here again tomorrow night for the dark fairy tales. Not that we aren't living one right now, right? Until then, ladies and gentlemen, stay awake, but dare to dream.